Sheila Price never likes returning to this place. She knows she has to, but she's left stumped with the questions that haunt her at night.
Why'd they kill my youngin'? Where'd they kill my youngin'? Who killed my youngin'?
We don't know the who, but we do know a little about Rhonda Jones.
If you would ever met Rhonda, you would have met one of the biggest hearted people in this county because she'd gave you anything she had.
April will mark 4 years since the small Robeson County community of Lumberton was shocked by the discovery of a body lying in a trash can. It was Rhonda. She was 36.
Yeah, she had a drug problem, but it didn't make her an evil or mean person. She didn't deserve to lay over there in a trash can for days.
She was a mom, leaving behind 5 children of her own. But her death wasn't the first in this area. It wasn't even the second. She was one of 3 women found dead, blocks apart, within weeks of each other in 2017. That's not all they have in common.
For all 3 deaths to come back undetermined, I mean, you can't find nothing on one of these 3 bodies.
While Rhonda's death may be undetermined, there are many Native American deaths that aren't. The state says there are around 90 unsolved, missing or murdered Native American women and children since 1994. And there's nowhere where the issue plays out more than in Robeson County. Robeson County sits along the Lumber River. It's one of the most diverse counties in America. 42% of residents are American Indian, 31% are white, a little under a quarter are black, 9% are Hispanic. And there's another statistic that cuts along racial lines. More Native Americans have their lives cut short.
There's a sickness in Robeson County right now that needs to be healed.
Jane Jacobs is from Robeson and a member of the Tuscarora Nation, one of many tribes in the county, the largest of which are the Lumbees, a tribe recognized by the state but not the federal government.
All of these tribes are begging for help.
The sheriff's office says it's investigated 285 deaths, not all classified as homicides, on county land since 2008. More than half of the people who died were Native American.
The problem is rampant.
We met Jacobs where her sister, Katina Locklear, was found dead in 2018. She was gang raped.
I can feel my sister here.
This is the first time she set foot here.
She's letting me know everything's okay. I'm not believing her because everything's broken.
Jacobs says in Robeson County, there's something else missing: opportunity.
There's no jobs. There's nothing here. It's like being on a reservation out west where you don't have any resources.
Just under a third of the county lives in poverty, more than 2 times the state average. The man in charge of solving the cases on county land is Bernice Wilkins, the sheriff of Robeson, a county that often ranks as the most dangerous in the state.
Frankly, it's embarrassing. Folks would ask, where are you from? And I would mention Robeson County, and they'd have this grimace on their face, and that was the thing that they would talk about. Oh, Lord, what about the crime there?
Wilkins, who spent decades in law enforcement, left retirement in 2017 to run for sheriff. He was sworn in a little over 2 years ago.
What I'm trying to do as the sheriff is bring those stats down.
Wilkins says he reorganized the office, collaborated with the federal government to combat violent crime, and created a cold case team of retired detectives to close some of the unsolved murders.
I need closure.
Price continues to search for answers to the unwavering questions that keep her up.
I don't know how much more fight I got in me. I don't know how much more I can take.
But as we returned with her in February to where her daughter was discovered, she did get a sliver of clarity. The man who found Rhonda's body years ago came over and introduced himself. It was the first time they'd ever met.
Oh my God. I didn't get to see her. They wouldn't let me.
Temporary comfort amidst a sea of despair. Justice
Lord
is left.
Oh my God.
Waiting. In Robeson County, Reuben Jones, Spectrum News 1. The blinds are drawn tight. Reminders are there to stay away. It's easy to think no one is home.
It's been a very traumatic experience for them.
But inside this home outside the small town of Pembroke in Robeson County is a mom still in a state of shock. Stephanie Jacobs is her niece.
She's very paranoid. She doesn't trust a lot of people. If someone comes to the yard, she doesn't like to open the door.
It was almost 8 years ago when the home became a crime scene.
This is one of the holes that was left.
Someone shot into it. Inside were the mom, Star, and her 3 grandchildren. She was taking care of them for her daughter, Lauren Holmes, who was out. Star was shot and injured. Lauren never came home. Lauren's body was found 2 days later in this canal a few miles away. She was 23 years old, a mother of 3.
She had a laugh that was contagious. She could light up any room she walked into.
Lauren is one of a long list of indigenous people killed in Robeson County.
I have several friends who have been impacted by a family member being murdered.
The county is around 42% Native American. Many of them are in the Lumbee tribe.
These crimes hit very close to home for us.
120 miles from where Lauren was found, Brittany Hunt
Our justice system is a slow-moving thing.
chronicles the cases. She and Chelsea Locklear, who are both Lumbee, started the Red Justice Project podcast in November. Their mission, to shine a light on murdered indigenous people.
These women are not really getting justice. They're not getting their faces in the news, and the police are not, in some instances, even devoting resources to try to solve their cases.
Robeson County's violent crime problem isn't unique. According to the National Institute of Justice, more than 4 in 5 American Indian women nationally have experienced violence. More than half have experienced sexual violence, and Native women in some counties face murder rates more than 10 times the national average.
I wasn't really 100% familiar with our cases until you actually brought it to my attention and wanted some statistics.
Bernice Wilkins is the county sheriff who took over in late 2018. He says he knew of Robeson's violent crime problem, but hadn't looked at death numbers specifically for Native Americans. While they are high, Wilkins points out 89% of the cases have been closed by the office, a number one advocate we spoke with off camera says is higher than her count.
Those people, as well as African American, as well as Hispanics and any other race in this county, are as important to me as the white population is.
Indigenous girls deserve media attention too.
Hunt says federal recognition of the Lumbee tribe could bring in needed dollars and resources. While law enforcement support is critical to combat the crime, she says there's a silent killer that's been stalking Native Americans for centuries. History itself.
This is not an epidemic, because an epidemic is relegated to time. It has a definitive beginning and a definitive end. But this is an issue that began with colonization.
Robeson County's struggles are not new. In the 1950s, the county had separate water fountains, one for whites, one for blacks, and one for natives. And in the 1990s, Julian Pierce, a Lumbee civil rights activist running for a judge position, was murdered. And today, the sheriff's office says more than half of the deaths it's investigated on county land since 2008 are Native American.
We need to come together as a community.
Back inside that tortured home, a mother still waits to find out who killed her daughter. And at Lauren's gravesite, a bouquet of flowers is a reminder that her memories live on.
She's not forgotten. She's loved. And we're going to fight until we get something done.
You worry about her being forgotten?
Yes, that's my biggest fear. We're going to get justice for you if it's the last thing we do.
A hunt for justice for an untold number of indigenous people. In Robeson County, Reuben Jones, Spectrum News 1.